Good morning. I was reflecting this morning on the human journey. It is long and arduous if we are blessed, if we are so blessed. Um, I have these moments without my son where I get to tap in and devote time to my own journey. So much of parenting is giving setting aside our own journey and devoting ourselves to the journey of our children. And so when my son is gone, when he's having a sleepover at grandpa's, I get a moment to remember, to come back to the remembering of who I am and what it is that I do. And let me tell you, it's something intense for myself, because I am one who has devoted my life to selfless service. It is a spiritual path that I have chosen, and in that, even in choosing the path, one forgets that is the number one, the only, if you ask me, it is the only sin, the original sin, if you will, of humanity, which is ignorance, forgetting of self. Ignorance simply is not knowing, right? If I sin against somebody else, it comes all the way back to the forgetting of who I am, because who I am is connected to you. And if I sin against you, I sin against myself. Now, why would I ever do that if I knew who I was? If I knew that I'm connected to you and anything I do to you harms me, I wouldn't do that, right? So it's in the forgetting, it's in the ignorance that we choose. So that's a word from the Lord, as they used to say, as the OGs used to say. I'm reading this book of mine. I've read it many times through. It's Wisdom of the Ancient Sages, the Mandukya Upanishad. There are many Upanishads. They're more ancient than the Bible, and it's wisdom. It's just wisdom. So this one was written by Swami Rama, a famous yogi master, famous sage, and a teacher of my teacher. And so he lived, I want to say 100 years ago, but I could be a little bit off on that. Don't quote me on that. But the point I'm getting to is that he quotes Jesus in here. But I wanted to share a piece of this morning, because it so inspires me as a collective. For me, my selfless service, let me back up just a little bit. When we choose on our path of selfless service or to be of service, the question then becomes, how do I be of service? How do I show up in the world? When I was young, I did anything and everything to be of service. I was in the military. That is a major point of service in our country. When we look at a veteran, we say, oh yeah, they are definitely of service, right? They chose to deny their own rights in order to be of service to others. We signed away our rights in order to be of service. That's one way to be of service. Pastors, right? They're choosing to guide a flock in the way of spirituality. That is them being of service. People who work for nonprofits, we often see them as being of service because many of them, most of them have degrees of some sort, but they're not making the money that they could if they were in the profit, not in the profit sector, if you will, or working for a corporation where you can make lots of money. So we see those people who choose to be of nonprofits. We see a lot of spiritual path beings in nonprofit world, even in governmental agencies. I've met so many people, city government, state government, even federal government, who are doing it because they want to be of service. They want to support in some way. And so the question becomes, when we do decide to be of service, what is it that we're doing? And I've found that it does look different throughout our lifetime. And I had a friend recently remind me that, who we are at any given point looks different depending on our passions at the time, right? When I was young, I was very physical and out there. I had so much energy. And so because I had so much energy at that point and less wisdom, for me, when I'm young, and for all of the young people, we get to use our bodies and in a way that's more intensive than when we are in our 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, right? When you get older and you have more wisdom than you have energy, you're standing back more so, and leading, directing, giving others those orders to be of service and to go and plow these fields. Go and, get yourself prepared for war or whatever it is, right? So it changes throughout time how it is that we're of service. But I just wanted to read this excerpt to you if you're pondering that today, of being of service, what that looks like for you. There cannot be any delusion or sorrow for that wise one who has realized the unity in diversity, his own self in the self of all. So what he's talking about here is a point that was made earlier in this book, that we are not separate from God. We are simply a manifestation of God, an aspect, if you will, of God. You might imagine, I always feel like this is an easy imagining, that God is the sun, the actual physical sun that we have, and we are each a ray of the sun. Same particles, same essence of God, but pulled out from it and expressing that ray of sun here, right? Like if I was a full sun on this earth, I'd burn all you mofos down. But I'm not. I'm just a ray of sun. I still burn some people. Some people don't like me. I'm too bright for some people, but I'm not that full sun. And collectively, we are, if we're all shining in our brightness. And that's a consciousness thing. That's a energy thing, that when all of us rise to our greatest ability within our human bodies to shine, then we do raise the consciousness that changes the entire planet. Anyway, I'll go on. So there cannot be any delusion or sorrow for the wise one who has realized the unity in diversity, his own self in the self of all. He hates none and loves all. The aspirant is delightfully confronted with the consequences of the idea that his infinite self is his true nature, that sun aspect, the true nature of every man and woman. So that's what that is saying, is when you know that the true self of, if I know that the true self of me is that aspect of the sun, and it's not my skin, my smile, my physical strength, those are all sort of my wardrobe, if you will, or my vehicle. I like to call it my vehicle that I'm getting around the world in, but it's not who it's not who I am at the very center. And so once I know that about myself, then I can start to see it in others, and then I have zero hate for them, right? Even if somebody does me wrong, when I know that they are not that action that they just inflicted upon me or showed up as, I can still have compassion for them. I can still give them grace and give them space. Self is one with all, and the only life expression of this vision is universal love. Love is a binding force that is life, while separateness comes from hatred. Love is one of the highest points of all human excellence. Human society collectively longs to attain this state of civilization. Alas, such great people are rare, although they exist in all traditions and cultures. But if all the societies of the world produced such people who could emanate love selflessly to all, then human beings would never have a longing to go to heaven, for the heavenly joys, even the immortal joy of God, would be attained here and now in this lifetime. What? Where are those prophets of love? It is not the intellect, but the heart that will transform human society. Further, grief and delusion come to a human being when he identifies himself with his limited body, mind, and its objects, right? When we identify ourselves external of that sun aspect of ourselves is when grief and delusion come. When one identifies oneself with the non-self aspect of his personality, he is weak and helpless and commits many mistakes and experiences tension, grief, and sorrow. The illusion of separateness has a critical, constricting effect on the growth of the human mind, intellect, and society. Wow, man, this one got me this morning because I've been going through some of that constrictedness, some of that grief and delusion. I experience it even though I know that I'm so connected. The hate thing is easy for me. I don't have any hate towards anybody, even when somebody does me wrong. I don't have that. Because I've been on the path for so long, right? That is easy hat for me. But that separateness, that it comes in my ignorance. How does that happen? Well, first of all, I got a kid, as I mentioned at the beginning. And parenting requires that we set aside our own needs to then check in and take care of the child so often. But even if you don't have kids, there's other things that are a part of your journey that bring upon the forgetting or the ignorance, that keep us in the ignorance. If it was easy, we wouldn't be here on earth. We'd have graduated to the next realm, if you will, or dimension. There's a lot going on out there that we are unaware of as humans, or some of us are unaware of as humans. Many humans do recognize that there's something beyond this. But anyway, in that forgetting is where we falter and we find ourselves separate. And that's part of the journey too, is remembering, oh, I am connected. Okay, one final paragraph. Jesus says, love thy neighbor as thyself. The Upanishads say, I should say, like, this is a very small, it's thousands and thousands of pages. The Upanishads say, the whole universe is your family, and all the members of the universe are your family members. The purpose of spirituality is to destroy the illusion of separateness. This is important. A river cut off from its main stream must become stagnant. So too is the case when man cuts himself off from the main stream, God, Atman. Then he falls into sorrow, grief, and delusion. This one called me out this morning because I'm like, I don't ever separate myself from God, but I do because I'm experiencing the sorrow, the delusion, the grief, and then opportunity to come right back. Who am I? And I think also one of the reasons that I have found over the years that it takes time and dedication on a spiritual path, whether you're beginning or you've been on it forever, is that we have to strengthen ourselves daily. For some people, it's having a conversation with angels or with God. For others, it's taking daily time to be in nature and be reminded of that oneness, of that connectedness. For others, it's having a devotional with the Bible or other spiritual texts. But it does take consistency, showing up for oneself and being reminded, remembering, right? That's why it's called remembering. Ignorance is that forgetting. So I have to remember, sometimes daily, sometimes 3 or 4 times daily. Not that I even have the awareness 3 or 4 times daily. To be honest, when I'm having a bad day, I can have a bad day for the whole day. And it won't be until the end of the day that I remember, oh yeah, I'm connected. I am connected. But then it's in that moment, if I give myself that space, that moment, and I'm going to go out on a limb here and try and pull this all together in a space of where we are today in 2025, that connection that we require, right? That knowing who we are, that speck of the sun or speck of God in the totality, and that we are all connected. It comes in the connectedness, which means we must disconnect from the disconnectedness, which is our phones. Our social media, the politics, all of it. We gotta disconnect from that because that's not connectedness. And I would even go so far as to say that it is a tool of distraction. It is a deliberate tool of distraction. Yeah, deliberate. to keep us in that delusion, in the separateness, right? So I encourage you today, whoever you are, even if you're not a spiritual being, quote unquote, if you don't see yourself as that, you are. But I encourage you to take a moment to disconnect from device, and connect in. Go get in nature, say a prayer, read some sort of spiritual scripture or text. Go sit in your grandma's lap. Real talk. That's spirit too. That's that feeling of connectedness. Go have a hug for 30 seconds or more. That'll remind you, yeah. When you feel like you can just melt into the other person, that's that connectedness. Like, I am one with this person right now. And that'll bring a spark. Yeah. Thanks for listening.